Okay, hey guys, Tony's right. How are you? So it's Friday. I thought it was Saturday. It's because I don't work on Fridays, currently. But yeah, like it's Friday, and yeah, I'm gonna go out later today. But I finished reading a book, and I'm gonna do the book review. Now it's fresh in my mind, and I feel like I don't really need to mull over any ideas. I'm gonna talk about it. So it's Crush by Richard Siken. Siken. Um, so I recently got this like in the last 2-3 months, but I was working my way through like some other things, so I decided to put that on hold. I started it last month sometime, and then I finished it today, and so I'm gonna talk a bit about the experience of it. So I never knew who this was. I did know who Louise, I say Gluck, um, is because I read The Wild Iris, and that was something that I did for my class last semester. And so, yeah, The Wild Iris was yeah, it was cool. And I was like, well, if she like is supportive of this, then like let's go for it because I enjoyed her work as well. Kind of difficult to grasp, but I was like, I'm willing to like, you know, go with it if that kind of forward is there. So anyway, so I started reading it. Um, I try to read in the store like a little bit of the poetry to see if I'm gonna enjoy it because like, and I kind of skip around in the book just to see, because sometimes you'll read the back and it's like yeah, and the cover looks yeah, and then when you read it you start to be like this dry ass shit. But I started reading it and I really liked language and what he was doing with it, and so I decided to pick it up. Finished it today. I will say that I think I had some lulls with it because I kind of felt like it's like that poetry that I think people, oh my God, hold on, let me get this door because like the wind is blowing. It's like, you know. Okay, I'm just gonna back you up a little bit. Oh Lord, back you up just a bit. Jesus. Okay. Oh my God, that's the thing about this damn trying to set this shit up. Okay, all right, cool. My God, all right, that's as good as it's gonna get. We'll take this down. Visual high, visual height. Okay. Anyway, I gotta adjust this still. Okay, so essentially reading it, the experience of reading it was kind of like, this is kind of like the poetry that I was introduced to, and then also like what we consider more the classic ones, the ones I would say when I say classics, I kind of mean like 18, like before the turn of the century, so before 1900 and back. Usually a lot of the people that are referenced with the classics are those. And this is where like the contemporary kind of space, but I feel like this is kind of what people expect poetry to be. How elusive it can be, how slippery it can be, how dangerous it can feel, and I liked reading through it. I am in my workshopping part of thesis now, and so I had my first workshop, and I'm looking to do it again because I need like inspiration. Like I prefer to have like some sort of inspiration or some sort of like just interesting stuff. I don't want to like stop reading during a thing. So anyway, this book is written in 3 sections. I personally didn't really see a huge difference in between them, but I will say there are 3 sections here because like some of the poems, they have the same formatting, they have the same way of like winding and stuff like that. There's a lot of imagery of like travel, there's a lot of imagery of dreaming, remembering things. The idea of memory is in here. place and space and time and freezing and capturing a memory are some things that I noticed in here. I felt like the way that it was structured and written. So things when poetry looks like this is intentional that things are like this. It felt like a racing mind, or like a mind that was trying to connect all the things together. And it felt like sometimes when I was reading it, it was more like vignettes of vignettes of experience trying to be put together. Like I was like looking into a video so I could like learn how to pronounce his name. And then they like mentioned it was because it was about the death of like a boyfriend, which really clued and made me think about it again. I was like, this makes sense that this kind of book is like this. And so coming off the heels of a chapbook that I was reading, this is kind of like the same vein, that grief, and how grief, I think, is always described in a lot of poetry. It's like this really heavy, weighing down thing. And here in this book, you get a lot of movement of thought, movement in time, movement, almost kind of like if you stay still, you'll get taken under by like the weight, like literally crushed under the weight. And so to keep yourself just alive, depending on how connected you feel, right? Some people, when people die in their family or their friends or their lover and stuff like that, like they exit stage left with them, if you catch my drift. And so this book kind of teetered on the edge of that, like these very heavy, dark emotions. It kind of reminds me of like very dark, like glittering, almost like James Dean-esque kind of stuff. It feels like very tragic, die young, will always remember you. I have all these moments and assemblages, and just trying to figure out, piece together, like almost like what happens is kind of how like I take it. Part one I enjoyed well enough, but I think because the format felt the same through all the poems, I really like how it visually looked across the page. I really became fatigued with that. And so I was kind of, as I started to get into it, because I don't think I read the beginning when I was like in Barnes & Noble deciding if I wanted it. But I think I read from like 2 or 3. So we get to 2 and we get to 3. Well, we get to 2 and then we start getting really lovely changes in it where it's like this. And again, even though there's this structure of like this just long block, I feel like it plays into that I have like all this to say and maybe a little bit of time to say it. And so I'm going to cram everything in here before you leave again kind of vibe. And like I enjoyed these because one, visually it broke up the rest of the book, but then I also felt like he really fleshed out a lot of descriptions outside of their the relationship that he was having, because a lot of the ones here deal with like the actual relationships and the memories of the relationships, whereas I feel like these here, there's a little bit more of a distance, a little bit more of a pondering, a little bit more of placing someone in metaphor and simile, and thinking about them and finding ways to describe them without, I think also almost, I feel like relying on those memories. I feel like the first part definitely was like very memory processing heavy. And this is almost like getting it right, like setting it right, trying to like memorialize and make more concrete like the experience of this person and things like that. That's how I read it. I did enjoy like part 2 as well. I think I started to really dive deep. That this is what like a lot of stuff going on. But I think the biggest things that I enjoyed was that there was a lot of things about dreams and seeing people, and like with the other book, it's kind of like the memories and trying to capture the memories and what do they mean. I felt like there was a little bit of the idea of like capturing memory through like film and photography. I don't know, like that came to my mind when I was thinking about this. I've also been listening and watching Marina Senna's new album, and the kind of like I guess titular song. The music video it's moving around and it's doing a lot of buffering and it's doing stuff like that. And I kind of feel like this goes along with that, like that buffering, repeated words or repeated sentences and phrases throughout the whole thing. The coming back and circling back, like the circular kind of way of talking about someone. Because this is like an entire poem about someone. Like, this isn't really, I don't really feel like this subject has swayed from like this person that was lost. I feel like this entire collection was written about that, right? And so it's very circular in a lot of ways. I did start to like when we have like the poem in sections. I forget what like that. So hold on. We just mentioned it. I'm not the best with the vocab. They talking about stands. That's not what it is. I know what it's called. And it's like a whole thing. Anyway, I can't find it. We just talked about this and I like didn't write it down. Anyway, it's in sections and I think I enjoyed the section poems more. And especially when we get to part 3, we still have the same kind of movement kind of thing. But the one that I enjoyed the most and the one that I started to get really into is this 24 like section, 24 part poem, You Are Jeff, because I felt like it was circular and we kept coming back to the same idea of Jeff and the name and what it means, and it splintered off into a lot of different ways, but I felt like the vignettes were all connected. He came back to them. There was a central crisis, I feel like, in each section that needed to be resolved, or a thought or something like that. And it felt very much like playing a movie back. And each scene is edited a little bit differently, right? Like noticing. And there's an attention to detail that I enjoy about this poem in particular, and it got me thinking the most about my own poetry and what I want to do for this week. And so this is kind of what we're aiming for. So I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I will like maybe read like a part of it. So I read like one section and then maybe like 2 sections, if not 3. Okay, so You Are Jeff. We're just going to jump around this poem. There are 2 twins on motorbikes, but one is farther up the road beyond the hairpin or just before, depending on which twin you are in love with at the time. Do not choose sides yet. It is still to your advantage to remain impartial. Both motorbikes are shiny red, and both boys have perfect teeth, dark hair, soft hands. The one in front will want to take your part, and slowly, his deft and stubby fingers searching every chink and lock for weakness. You could love this boy with all your heart. The other brother only wants to stitch you back together. The sun shines down. It's a beautiful day. Consider the hairpin turn. Do not choose sides yet. You were playing cards with 3 men named Jeff. 2 of the Jeffs seem somewhat familiar, but the Jeff across from you keeps staring at your hands, your mouth, and you're certain that you've never seen this Jeff before, but he's on your team and you're ahead. You're winning big, and there And yet the other Jeffs keep smiling at you like there's no tomorrow. They all have perfect teeth, white, square, clean, even. And for some reason, the lighting in the room makes their teeth seem closer than they should be, as if each mouth was of place. A living room with pink carpet and the windows open. Come back from the window, Jefferson. Take off those wet clothes and come over here by fire. Um, and then let's see. Consider the hairpin turn. It is waiting for you like a red door or the broken leg of a dog. The sun is shining. Oh, how the sun shines down. Your speedometer and your hand grips and the feel of the road below you. How how it knows you. The black rims spread out on the green between these lines that suddenly don't reach the horizon. It is waiting like a broken door, like the red dog that chases its tail and eats your rose bushes and then must be forgotten. Who do you love, Jeff? Who do you love? You were driving towards something, and then you found yourself driving the other way. The dog is asleep. The road is behind you. Oh, how the sun shines down. And then we're gonna skip ahead to this. Okay. Okay. Let's say that God is the space between two men and the devil is the space between two men. Here, I'll be all of them. Jeff and Jeff and Jeff and Jeff are standing on the shoulder of the highway. 4 motorbikes knocked over, 2 wrenches spinning in the ordinary air. 2 of these Jeffs are windows, and 2 of these Jeffs are doors, and all of these Jeffs are trying to tell you something. Come closer, we'll whisper it in your ear. It's like seeing your face in a bowl of soup, cream of potato, and the eyes shining back like spoons. If we wanted to tell you everything, we would leave more footsteps in the snow or kiss you harder. One thing, come closer, listen. So I really enjoyed that poem. I just felt like it's not like you're getting multiple perspectives of the same scene, but I enjoy how like one connects to the other and how details from one, even if it's like earlier in the section, right? There's 24, right? So section 2, something from section 2 ends up in section 13, something in section 13 ends up in section 23, something from 23 is in 5, like all of these little pieces are crisscrossing together, and I like the intentionality that it takes and the dedication that it takes to kind of, even if you have these scrambled up like vignette thoughts, that they came together in such a masterful way. And I really enjoyed like reading that section in particular, like that poem in particular. I really enjoyed it. So I definitely would explore more by this poet, and we'll definitely consider going the more contemporary route for some of the stuff. I enjoyed it. I feel like section 3 was the main section for me that I felt like enlivened me a little bit more, and it's definitely that poem that's holding it up. But that I enjoyed the process of reading it all together. So I would explore it, and I do recommend Crush. So yeah, if you've read it, what are your thoughts? If you haven't read it, would you consider reading it? This is sparked some newness in me, so I'm gonna go to like somewhere like a cafe and like write a little bit because I do have an assignment due. So yeah, that's Crush, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.